Howdy, folks. I'm the Samurai Who. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And today we're doing the ARJ Manga May 2026 Postmortem for me, Sammy. So, I don't think Bargun does a postmortem, but I will do one for myself. So, who am I? So, I make art, comics, and videos. I'm a contributor to Atomic Red J with alongside Vargon Spaceman, and uh, I make stuff under my own name, TheSamuraiWho. Some of my notable projects include the Punk Aliens comic, which we're actually going to talk about today, and Me and My Imaginary Girlfriend comic, which I did a number of years ago, and my video series Brush Pen Buddies. So what's this challenge? This ARJ Manga May comic challenge. So it's 31 days of comics. May consistently has 31 days, so there are 31 comics to make. And it's ideally one comic a day based on one prompt. So, and the comic is required to contain 2 or more panels and may contain colors, dialogue, and backgrounds, but those 3 elements are optional in addition to other things like even the number of characters and things like that. So the only stricter requirement is that it has 2 or more panels, so that's sequential art. I know that there are some comics that are 1 panel, but those are more advanced than I can create, so at least consistently. So for this challenge, like in 2025, the participants were myself and Bargon Spaceman. So make sure to check his comics out as well. And that's his name. And Bargon Spaceman, he's everywhere: Instagram, Newgrounds, Blue Sky, YouTube. Check out his YouTube channel as well. And what are the prompts? So these are all the prompts. I'm not going to read them all out. There are 31. And last time I counted, because I had to manually input all of these because the formatting tool that I was using did not like it in this presentation. Yeah, it's 31. Unless I am. Why is that? That's gonna bother me. Why is that bullet pointing so weird? Huh. Yeah, formatting tool. Anyways, let's just go through all 31 comics. You can, of course, read at your leisure if you want to read them on these comics on Newgrounds or Blue Sky. So, but I'm going to go over them quite quickly. And we're going to just breeze through just like a quick preview. So, I definitely introduced a lot more characters along the way. So, essentially, every slice you see here is a different comic, and I'm combining. I'm combining 3 pages into one slide because I didn't want to do 31 slides and then waste a bunch of space. So, yeah, I definitely used a lot more colors, a lot more shapes. The line work was fine. Yeah. I definitely had characters reoccur, and then one of the things that I did enjoy was having things progress. So it became serialized rather than episodic. So whereas the first 2, well, most of the comic has been episodic, where one episode doesn't necessarily transfer to the next. This one's more serialized. So consequences from one episode affect the next one. It definitely had a lot more references thrown in as much as possible, and hopefully you can spot them and tell me what you think they are. Um, and of course, these comics are available on Newgrounds and Blue Sky, and hopefully Webtoons and Tapas at some point. I need to throw these into a formatter, and that's a process. So yeah, plenty of references, and I did go from like this more instead of doing everything comedic, I did put more serious tone and try to give some backstory to all these characters and why they exist. And this is primarily all punk aliens, so. And then I had a lot of fun throwing different outfits at different characters, so. And then I definitely went to like a reuse pattern to try to get more stuff out. Yeah. Then I did some tricks, a lot of studies with colors, textures, heavily used gradients. I added that filter that I usually do, that noise filters, so that it gives things a little bit more texture. I did mess up in some of the colors, some of the lines and things like that. But in the service of getting things done quick. Um, yeah, and then even extremely new characters showed up. Other characters had more time. My color choice was not really super great for some of these shots. Uh, and I wish that I had changed it, but I don't intend to fix these. Yeah, not yet. I have too many new projects to work on. Yeah, some occasional characters that maybe people don't remember, such as sous chef. I threw them in. There are definitely a lot of characters that were cut from uh, appearing in these segments because it was just too many characters. And then, like especially for the panel on the right here, that was a lot of characters to draw. So thankfully, I didn't have even more characters. So and then I didn't necessarily want to have Imposta, this red version of Sammy, be evil, but it's kind of like his character. He's kind of a foolish version of Sammy, so he ends up being the bad guy. So, and color consistency was also a problem. It's usually localized to a panel, and if I'm doing a set of panels, it's consistent, but otherwise, colors are based on my eye. So instead of being an exact color or a color chart, this was pretty fun drawing. I had just watched Fallout, the TV show, so I basically made a. Oh, also it fits the prompt for power armor, so it was a reference there. And then I went to give the bad guys a motivation that was like it ends up being a misunderstanding because like I had foreshadowed it before with the thing, the world eater, and then showed that hey, this world eater that I set up before is the reason why these guys are trying to do the thing they're doing, and Imposta kind of just wants to rule the world. So, and then I think I was hearing about the World Cup, so I ended up making this spaceship essentially be a soccer ball because it needed to be a sphere. So it's, I mean, it's the worst looking soccer ball in the world, but it's my soccer ball spaceship thingy, piloted by bee aliens. And then I wanted them to have a happy ending, not just like, oh, let me beat you up and stuff like that. I mean, I beat up Imposta because it's Imposta. He's being a fool. But yeah, and then they have a disco party at the end. So did enjoy that. So overall, I think it was more cohesive. It was serialized, and I think going from panel to panel, even with the bizarre choices Bargon and I chose for prompts, he did try to stick with a theme, spacefarer, and basically my character spent most of the time in space. So, and it was actually the antagonists who uh, were also spacefarers because they're trying to find a home. And let's talk about the results besides what I discussed from my critiques. So, three things that went well, things that did not go as expected, and basically three areas of improvement next time for myself. So, the good. Uh, a lot of characters. A lot of characters. A serialized story. That was really tricky to do. I had to basically design the whole thing before the challenge started. And I had color. And I finished everything. So it's no going back like in 2025. I had to redo that earlier in the 300 days of art. So the round three of 100 days of art. This time around, it's done. Not going back. Some of the challenges uh, fell behind almost immediately, and sometimes it took days to finish one episode. That's not really part of the challenge criteria, but technically you can skip it or skip days and do whatever you want. I just had both the structure, and if I had skipped days, it would have messed up the story completely. So I had to finish all 31 episodes, with the last episode being 3 pages. So it ended up being 33 pages in total. So, and I did assembly line. So sometimes I did 3 episodes worth of sketches, and then did their line art, and then did their coloring. So, so by doing that, I got things consistent and kind of faster actually, but it did still take more than 3 days. So technically, not within the ethos of the, I mean, not ethos, but the spirit of the challenge. Otherwise, I'd do all these in black and white essentially. And then room for improvement, better stories. This was as bare bones as I could with stringing prompts around this way and that. Um, yeah, some of the colors were not good. So like, uh, yeah, if you're colorblind, these comics would be awful. For quite a few of them, and then the value range was very far, so kind of yeah. Still gotta learn more color theory and stuff like that, and that's something I'll be working on. Um, yeah, and then speeding up, getting faster at making comics. Overall, it was fun like it usually is. Making comics is goofy, especially when you don't take it too seriously. I mean, the story this time around was more serious, but there are definitely comedic elements. Primarily, Punk Aliens is a comedy. So, and then I talked with Bargon about ideas, and then we'd give each other feedback on our comics. So that was fun. It wasn't just me doing my own thing. It was Bargon and I collaborating, just like, oh, okay, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Does that look good to you? Does it need adjustment? And that's actually in the spirit of the challenge. But since it's just the two of us, it was a lot easier. If there were more people, that'd be fun as well. I wouldn't be able to necessarily give feedback on the development, but maybe ahead of time before we started. But one of the things I definitely appreciated more is the characters actually lived. They're not just static images. They're comics. There's your mind creates fills in the gaps between panels and between episodes and pages. Um, Characters live between the gutter. So that's the term for the gap between panels. Not necessarily my characters live in the gutter. And yeah, and that concludes this postmortem. So thank you again for checking out this postmortem. I implore you to read the episodes at your own pace and um leisure. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. And I think that about wraps it up. Thank you again and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.